start your show now, press 1.
Three, two, one.
Nobody take no cornbread from me.
Wolfpack in the house. That wasn't nice, R squared. All right. Booyah. You know how on the cable news they always try to act like they're surprised you're on the air when their whole purpose of being there is to be on the air? That's that face they always give you, like, oh. My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black Show. Glad you could show up. A little late, aren't you? It'll be a little bit more prompt. Just joking. If you're new to the show, this is the Tim Black Show. What we do is, this is Tuesdays, TBT Tuesdays, which are days where we open up phone lines. Let me get that phone number up here real quick. Now, this doesn't mean that it works. It just means it's supposed to work. Sort of like your health care. You got access to it, but Tim, it's not working. Hey, you got access. It's just like our healthcare in the Johnson. All right, let me welcome everybody on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's start out with YouTube. And while I do this, could you share it? Could you share the show? YouTube people, how y'all doing? YouTube Love in the House with Tanya and Jeremiah and Cassandra and Belmont and and Brian and Lookout and R. It gonna work. We'll see. Aurora, Lumberjackovs, Garberto Portela de Rosa. Aurora, hey, Cassandra. Did I get these? Yeah, Jane. Hey, Jane, how you doing? Good to have you. Wolfpack, I see a lot of Wolfpack love in here. Lookout and Tanya, I see you up in here. Got the Wolfpack emojis rolling around. That's dope. Joe, what up? Code Talk. Jeanette. Claudia. And Joe Nunya. Joe, none of your business. Joe Nunya up in the house. Yeah, so we got YouTube going. Share this. Let me share this on. Let me tweet this out, guys. Some of you won't tweet it out. I don't know what it is. I think you're ashamed. This indulgence called the Tim Black Show. You're like, I don't want people to know, man. I'm going to keep it to myself. Live now. Let's get it out there. All right. My job is done. That part of my job's done. Now let's go to Facebook and make sure Facebook people can hear and see the show because they matter. Facebook people matter. They got love. Facebook, what's up? Rahul, my friend, Nicholas, Jason, Zara's in the house. God, it's hot down here, George Scheller. What's going on? Dee and Paula and Dolores and Julie and Ginger and Rose and Rebecca and Renee and Andrea. Andrea's in the house. Thank you, Andrea. Ryan, all the Johnsons are already. Thank you so much. Riley. Gracious, man. To run this ball here through the washroom, through the cold shower, man. This is ridiculous. Lisa, what's happening? I might start doing shows, in the under AC. Hey, Tucson, what's up? Tim, your public enemy number 111. Yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. That's John Witherspoon. Yeah, boy. John, what's up, John? How you doing? I'm glad you guys could show up, Evan and Steven. And, hey, Ginger, I'm back. You back. We together. Once again, Justin, what's happening? Nikki King, Candace Wright, Woodpack Love. Hey, Candace, how you doing? Jordan's in the house. Robin's in the house. We got a good crew. Got a nice crew on Facebook right now. Thank you, guys. Share it on your Facebook. Lucius. That's the name for you right there. Lucius. See, when you grow up with a name like Tim, that's it. Tim. It's so immediately over. No one ever said, can you repeat that? They only ask you to repeat your name if your name is Tim, if they thought you said Jim. But it's never because they're excited about it. It's like, oh, okay. Are you as boring as your name? Then I'd have to do things that make myself, more interesting. And of course, I could have used Timothy, but it always seemed like I was trying to overdo it. Try hard. I met a sister from Sierra Leone, and she was like, your name is Timothy. Your mother didn't name you Tim. She named you Timothy. Don't disrespect your mother. Use your whole name, boy. Out here disrespecting your mother. Timothy. Yeah, she was cool, man. Her name was Ame. What up, David? How you doing? All right, look, guys, we got a show. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through a couple of items. Now, I want you to know, today it's not about funny. There's a lot of serious things going on in the world. I want to be able to share them with you and fortify you with information so that you are well equipped to have these conversations with friends, families, loved ones, strangers, whoever you might meet. Just consider yourself a informed evangelist of the truth. It's going to be important that I do this when it's all over because there's a lot of misinformation floating around about what's happening. So what I'm going to do is going to present facts to you upon facts, and then we're going to lighten it up a little. I guess, well, I'm going to give you my commentary on it, and then we're going to go to phone lines. And we'll move about in that order. There you go, a structured show. Tim sound like he almost know what he doing. Thing running? Okay. All right, we okay. Okay, just make sure everything's okay. Everything okay? Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you with me? Okay. Okay, so I think the most important thing, everything I got tonight is so important. That's part of the problem. It's not a problem, but okay, let's start with this. Let's start with evictions. Okay. Now, we've all been covering, on this show, we've been covering what's been happening during the COVID-19, the coronavirus, the impact that it's had on working people. And we all know that a lot of people have been laid off or had their schedule seriously truncated, meaning their money was truncated. And then some of us were fortunate enough to get a measly $1,200. For that, we were told to be thankful. Meanwhile, corporations, some of them big, some small, mostly big, got millions of dollars in support from our federal government. Meanwhile, what we got was a see you later. Be thankful to live here. So this has all been been the front page news. We've been discussing it. So now here we are where this little remedy, the remedy that we did have, is coming to an end. And the amount of money that was afforded to working people that hold this country up, people that put the time in, people that feed their families, who are not corporations, they're human beings, they are being shafted once again. This time it's in the form of a federal eviction moratorium, which expired last week. That moratorium ending protections for approximately 12 million renters. I don't know if some people understand or are really grappling with what we're saying here. 12 million people who rent, who are unable to pay their rent due to no fault of their own, just the coronavirus, the COVID-19, the shutdowns, the employers shuttering the doors. Those people, they're no longer going to be protected under that moratorium. And those past rents are going to come due. And the solution for that basically is nothing. A patchwork of state and local eviction moratoriums are elapsing, or will in the coming weeks. An expanded unemployment insurance guarantee by the CARES Act will also run out by the end of the month. This will eliminate $600 a week to millions of unemployed workers who don't have jobs to go back to right now. This is for people who don't have jobs to go back to. That's a very important stipulation. As these benefits drop, the United States is facing an eviction crisis of biblical proportions. Aaron Carr, founder and executive director of the Housing Rights Initiative, a nonprofit housing watchdog group, put it to Vox earlier this month. All this is happening in a country with more than 4.3 million confirmed COVID-19 cases, where one of the best strategies to mitigate the coronavirus outbreak is to keep people at home. We have over 4.3 million confirmed COVID infections. And the direction by the CDC is for people to stay at home, if at all possible, to stem the tide of the spread of the virus. But if people stay at home, they might not have a home to stay in. And remember, those jobs or those people, they work at jobs, they're employed by employers who also have to face that same situation. And then we get to teachers, and it kind of balloons out from there, mushrooms out from there. Now, to try to ease this crisis, Democrats in Congress proposed a new legislation to help Americans facing evictions. Now, look how they try to frame this now. They try to frame it this way. They say, Ayanna Pressley from Massachusetts, we know Ayanna. Rosa DeLauro out of Connecticut. Kamala Harris, we all know her. Introducing the Housing Emergencies Lifeline Program, or the HELP Act. Now, the purpose of this act is to provide funding so those at risk of eviction can access legal representation, and any evictions will do limited damage to a renter's credit. Okay, we're going to pull up there. This, folks, first of all, the insult that this is on working people, the insulting, unhelpful Band-Aid that this is attempting to apply, does not take into consideration the fact we're talking about legal remedies after the fact that you've already been evicted. Not only is the recourse of going to the legal process, being able to hire a lawyer, how many people who are focusing on trying to stay indoors had a wherewithal or are thinking about lawyers to fight this in court, to fight a situation in court? This is what happens. This is why elections matter. We hear it all the time. Elections matter, elections matter. And people say, well, no, if this, no. And hey, I've been one of those people too, who have been upset about the crop of people that are there. And we kind of lose sight of Congress. We lose sight of some of the horrible policies that they enact. And in this case, lack of action. But in this HELP Act, it's a camouflage for what's actually happening to people. Now, just because it's not happening to you or I at the moment, doesn't mean it won't happen. And look at the back end of this thing. To help you clean up your credit. Yeah, so if you are evicted, you may not have anywhere to live, but at least your credit won't be impacted. I mean, you're screwed, but you're not all the way screwed. I mean, you're being hung out to dry, but you're not being hung out all the way to dry. Half of you will be wet. The other half won't be wet. It'll be somehow mitigated by this. Now, they say housing is a human right. In the face of an impending eviction tsunami, we must take bold, urgent action to affirm the right, protect the millions of families facing housing instability. If that's the case, why aren't you playing the hardest of hardball, Ayanna Pressley, in order to keep an extension on the moratorium? Do you think anybody in Congress is facing eviction? It's just a thought. How many people in Congress are facing evictions right now, do you think? I got a feeling that a single person in Congress is in a financial strapped situation where they are looking down the barrel of living in their vehicles. People are not worried about their credit score right now. They're worried about if they're going to be able to sleep indoors. If their children, it's not just you, it's not just the individual going through the hardship, it's also the extension of the family. I have a son and a daughter who I'm also concerned about. What about them? Where will they live? Where will they stay? Where will they go? What about cousins? What about people with no family? What people with nowhere to go? We already have the inability to house people that need it now. And compound that with what's going on with the COVID-19, with people not being able to work, and what you have is a situation that's totally untenable. And it is a shameful, disgusting reality that we live in a country where we don't care. When I say we, I don't mean you and I. Of course, I'm preaching to the choir here. We have some people who are brainwashed to the extent where they believe anybody without deserves to be without, because they are all going down and betting on the horses as if this was a bad episode of the Flintstones with Fred babbling. That's how dim-witted they are. They actually believe that. They listen to people like Gomer, that creepy Republican, and they listen to these people and they buy into it that anyone who's under hard times, even under COVID-19, is somehow due to them going on shopping sprees at the local Target. Ayanna sounds good. I like her words, but what do they materialize in? When she goes, she says, housing justice is racial and economic justice. And as workers and families across our country confront an unprecedented financial cliff, Congress must act with the urgency needed to prevent mass evictions. Okay, that's what I want to know. There you go. The HELP Act would allocate $10 billion emergency solution grants, which provide funding to states and localities for programs related to things like homelessness prevention and outreach. They go toward funding legal representation for those on the verge of being evicted. I want a fund. How about a fund that you give them that pays their mortgage or their rent? Screw the legal. Trying to mitigate the damage of an eviction. It's just like anything else, guys. The best way to deal with crime is to prevent it by giving people a reason, giving people incentives and resources and educations, access beforehand. The best way to deal with illness is to prevent illness by giving people the tools to live healthy, eat healthy, to be healthy, to live in a healthy environment. We have learned people. They're all intelligent people. We all understand it's much easier to keep the toothpaste in the tube than to try to put it back in once you stepped on it. And this is all they're doing. They're allowing the tube to be stepped on. We don't need performative hijinks. We don't need performative hijinks. No one's up here to earn a Grammy, Miss Ayanna Pressley. All due respect. We need you to put your shoulder, that will that Obama said we need to all put our shoulders to and press hard. The arc. We need y'all to get the arcing right now. We have seniors, grandmas, grandpas, parents, siblings, people with all types of conditions, all types of situations, too far-reaching, expansive to mention now. that this is too important for it to just be an episode of who's the best bachelor or bachelorette, which is basically what we're seeing here. And if it was just the housing, just the evictions, that'd be one thing. Also, we have the HEALS Act. It doesn't get any... the HEALS Act is $1 trillion piece of legislation, mostly for corporations. Let's just put this all in one thing. The HEALS Act is so horribly beneficial to corporations that part of the word HEALS stands for liability protection. The L. I can't make this up. Unemployment increased. Unemployment. Here goes the parts of the HEALS Act. This is all what America's facing. While we talk about masks, while they give us the drama with masks and people like Fauci, while we had the conversation about how racist Trump is, which he is racist. And if he's not racist, he uses racist tools every day in order to move sachet about his base. But whatever that is happening in that spectrum, what's happening that's tangible, that's going on, that's affecting lives, that doesn't get the publicity it needs to get, right here. Unemployment. The increased unemployment benefits that people were receiving at $600 that they said was too much because people never want to go back to work if they get $600. Well, that's going to be cut to $200. And now they feel a lot better about that because, well, now people want to get back to work to jobs that aren't there. This extension runs into the end of the year combined with what the states offer. That's on average a cut from 921 to 521, or about 43%. Has America approached normalcy by 43% yet? Are things 43%? Have we made that move back to normalcy? I know we want to. I know we feel like, everyone's, wanting life to return to some recognizable format, but it hasn't. Now we could say, and I think with good amounts of facts to back it up, we could say that has to do with a lot more with the federal response initially. But be that as it may, this is where we are. So you're going to cut unemployment from 6 to 2, knowing that the financial position of the people hasn't changed. We print our own money, guys. We print our own money. What about inflation? You weren't saying that when the $1 trillion were given to the Pentagon. You didn't say that when we were in Iraq wasting money. You didn't say that in Afghanistan. You didn't say that in all the other endeavors that we've done, the military excursions that we've been on. You never once said, what about budgets? After 2 months, states will figure out how to individually replace 70% of lost wages and offers that with a cap of $500 from the government in that equation. The cap means that everyone will have lower support from unemployment under this plan. Okay. I'm trying to come up with a way to express this without just ranting and yelling. The second stimulus. Let's move on to the second stimulus. We'll come back. This is pretty much exactly the same as the CARES Act with $1,200 for adults, $500 for independents, not just children. That's a switch from CARES. Up to $75,000 in personal income based on last year, and then a sliding scale that phases out completely under $100,000. The rebates are protected from bank garnishment or levied by private creditors or debt collectors. Caveat: if you owe the government money, your money's gone. Private can't take your money. But let's say you owe child support. Oh, you don't have to eat, and even if you have a family now, no one cares. This is something near and dear to us as unsanitized as we spoke, as we broke the news that creditors, including banks, could grab stimulus checks to offset old debts. There you go. It's gratifying that Congress is finally getting around to making sure survival money goes to survival. Unless you owe back taxes, or unless you anything with what, student loan? Is that a guaranteed student loan? Would that snatch it? I don't know. That's government, right? Am I correct? Instead of talking to me about monuments, talking to me about Aunt Jemima, talking to me about NASCAR loops and NASCAR, instead of having these conversations about if Trump likes Kaepernick, now or not, we're getting screwed again. We have a systemic problem in this country, and that problem is greed, corruption at every turn. Healthcare. There's $118 billion in new money for hospitals testing, contact tracing, treatment, and vaccines. The Medicare Part B premium for 2021 would be frozen. Telehealth waivers would be extended to facilitate contactless medical care. There's a bunch of what seems like for show assistance to nursing homes, including strike teams, and better reporting, a good health rundown here. You're donating. What about schools? I'm just going to run through all these, as many as we can. What about schooling? How does this act affect school? There's going to be $105 billion for education. Split that between K to 12. Higher education will have a substantial part of that, only for those schools that reopen in the fall. Once again, incentives for those schools that somehow can shoehorn their parents into, and their teachers, who, mind you, have children at home as well, somehow subdue them into, arm twist them into putting them children in a situation where, hey, I mean, he looks okay. She looks fine. She's resilient. Let's give her a roll. The old roulette wheel of wellness. See what happens. The COVID-19 lottery, so to speak. This is grim shit. This is happening. Once again, richest country in the world. Richest country in the history of countries. A part I wanted to know about. Appropriations. Now, this new act includes appropriation, $20 billion for farmers, $29 billion for defense, a slush fund for defense contractors, including the F-35, $1.8 billion earmarked for new FBI headquarters. Oh yeah, we got to have that. We need a new place to put feds. $10 billion for a very sketchy airport improvement program. $3 billion. Wouldn't even mention if it was millions. $3 billion for tenant rental assistance. Interesting. A drop in the ocean of what will be needed. There's also $5.3 billion more to use the Defense Production Act to require certain manufacturing. The tenant or rental assistance could have easily been $100 billion. What was the number we initially started off with the evictions? Who am I talking to if not talking to myself? 12 million renters. 12 million renters who were benefiting from the moratorium on evictions. It's either expired or will be expiring. And $3 billion is all we're coming up with. And, hey, well, we'll help you clean up your credit after you get screwed. This is your America. This is our country. This is what we got. Let's get through a couple more of these. Just a couple more is important. Here about student loans. I got students that watch the show. Let me tell you. After the deferral deadline in the CARES Act runs out on October 1st, you can only defer student loan payments if you have no income. Otherwise, there's a 10% income-based repayment option. Liability protection. This has also been well documented. It's a 5-year blanket release from a flood of business liability lawsuits that don't exist. So that was to protect them if you say, well, I caught this because you made me work or be terminated or you put me in this situation without PPE, you can't sue them. Yeah, the Republicans made sure that was slid in there. I wanted to say something catchy, something Tim Blackish, but I can't do it. This is such bullshit, right? Our government is obviously working on behalf of corporations, not citizens. Unless those citizens own stock in those said corporations. That's just the way it is. So I think we need to focus on getting all of these people who are working against our agenda, which is an agenda which would provide us with a roof over head, medical coverage, ability to earn a livable wage. We have to do everything to get these people out of Congress. There is no other way. We can talk a lot about who the president is. The president doesn't create legislation. That's where our focus needs to be. Hopefully we can move forward in that direction, as you can see now. And I know we have been. We brought candidates on this show. You've supported them with money, dollars, donations, phone dialing, phone banking. I know. We're going to have to do more because there's too many of us, too many of America tuned out. All right. William Barr is your Attorney General. You may not know this. You may not, recognize this guy, but he's a big Kentucky Fried Chicken eating motherfucker who lies like a rug, who's there for no other purpose than to do the bidding of Donald Trump. He was taking the task today up on Capitol Hill as Democrats sucker punched him senseless while Republicans gave him a sponge bath. I have a couple of clips of him taking said whooping. It changes nothing. It is gratuitous, but it's necessary.
Lewis and Clark History Department Chair of shot at protests in Portland. Ask unanimous consent. Place that into the record. John Lewis in 1963 said, "We are tired about being beat by police. We're tired of being put in jail. We want our freedom now." Mr. Attorney General, in your remarks, you indicated that we made great progress since that time, and you indicated that the killing of George Floyd was shocking. I disagree. It was outright cold-blooded murder on the streets of America, unfortunately by police misconduct. You seem to have a difficult time understanding systemic racism and institutional racism that has plagued so many. Mr. Attorney General, do you understand a black mother's or parent's talk to their child, to their son? Do you know what that is?
I think I do.
I don't know if you do, but Trayvon Martin, Ahmaud Arbery, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Sean Bell, and George Floyd. Black mothers and fathers have had to talk to their sons about police violence. I take no backseat to the history of this committee that has stood for good policing, not misconduct. And so I ask you this question: does the Trump Justice Department seek to end systemic racism and racism in law enforcement? I just need a yes or no answer.
To the extent there is racism in any of our institutions in this country and the police, then obviously this administration will fully enforce this.
So you agree that there may be systemic
To
racism?
the extent, in where?
Let me continue my line of
I
questioning.
don't agree that there's systemic racism in the police department.
Specifically,
Generally in this country.
I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. General. Specifically, do you understand the violent impact of racial profiling? And do you support the end racial profiling, racial and religious profiling in the George Floyd bill, including the removal of the strict interpretation of qualified immunity, which would leave individuals like Breonna Taylor and George Floyd without any relief at all?
No, I'm opposed to eliminating qualified immunity, and I don't agree that it would leave the victims of police misconduct
Well, let me share with you some aspects.
without any remedy at all.
I'm reclaiming my time. Let me share with you some aspects of profiling. After the death of George Floyd found that while black people make up 19% of the Minneapolis population and 9% of its police, they were on the receiving end of 58% of the city's police use of force incidents. In addition, we've seen that black men are twice as likely to be stopped and searched. Hispanic drivers, 65% to receive a ticket, and Native Americans in Arizona, 3 times more likely to search and be stopped. Let me ask you the questions of how we respond to that. The Justice Department has many tools at its disposal to reduce police violence, to pattern or practice investigations, a practice to end bad policing and police violence. It addresses police violence at an institution level rather than just focuses on acute cases. If you understand that, then why has your department only pursued one pattern or practice investigation since President Trump took office that could stop systemic racism?
If you read my statement or listened to my statement, I did specifically acknowledge that there was a difficulty in this country with the African American community.
Mr. Attorney General, I have short time.
Well,
Can you just
I'd
tell
like
me
to be
why
able
you
to
have not
answer the
done a
question.
pattern in practice? What was the reason?
And you asked me what I thought the response was, and I thought the response to this is, in fact, training of police, and I think the police believe that that's a response. I was talking to a black
Then let me
chief of
continue.
police.
Mr. Attorney General, I want to respect you, but I have a short time. For example, 18 U.S.C. Section 242, which makes unlawful the denial of rights under the color of law. Can you defend the fact that in the first 7 months of FY 2020, federal prosecutors filed only 242 charges in just 27 cases in the Trump DOJ? And were you aware that in FY 2019, federal prosecutors brought Section 242 charges in just 49 cases in the United States? And are you aware of how many cases we've had? 184,274, which means that in FY 2019, only about 27 out of every 100,000 prosecutions was related to Section 242 charges. Do you have a reason for that?
Yeah, yes, I do. I will get you the numbers on it. I don't know them off the top of my head, but actually our criminal prosecutions under 241 and 242 are extremely strong and are comparable to, if not exceed, prior administrations. But at the beginning of this year, most of the, very few jurisdictions had grand juries that were open. No grand juries.
I think the reason is because it was really skinny. It was not your focus. Your focus was more to let out friends like Roger Stone and Paul Manafort, while Tamir Rice, whose case has not been taken up, was playing with a toy gun, was killed by police at the age of 12. Breonna Taylor was sleeping in her apartment when she was killed by police at age 26. And Rashad Brooks, 27, was killed just for sleeping in his car in a Wendy's parking lot. And George Floyd from Houston, Texas, known as a humble man, was murdered in the streets of Minneapolis crying, "I can't breathe." I would hope that the DOJ would focus on systemic institutional racism because there is good policing. That's what we're trying to do in the Judiciary Committee, and that's what we need you to join us on, Mr. Attorney General, and to recognize that institutional racism does exist, and until we accept that, we will not finish our job and reach the goals and aspirations of our late iconic John Lewis. With that,
Okay. Yeah, I want to apologize for having to play so much of that. I mean, frankly, I think once she was asked, once we asked Barr, once Sheila Jackson Lee asked Barr about systemic racism, and he said he denies that it exists in our police forces, I think the conversation would have been over, Johnson. But I do understand she needed to keep on going. It seemed like the two agendas of the GOP had an agenda, and that was to push the notion that police are under attack due to the protesters. I got a document here about the protesters we talked about. Actually, I'll wait because we got another clip. Barr is right in one point. In one point, I want to make this clear. I agree with everything that was said, that Sheila Jackson Lee said, Miss Sheila Jackson Lee said, Representative, Congresswoman. Must give respect. But I agree with one thing that William Barr says, that they haven't done much worse or much less than was done in previous administrations. That's the part. It doesn't change how I feel. It doesn't change the need for Attorney General William Barr to do his damn job. But it's important to note that a lot of the issues that we're dealing with are not original issues created, fundamentally just new birth under Donald Trump, but they existed before that. Is that an excuse? No, it's not an excuse. It's just something that I want to highlight and something that our viewers need to understand. Now, I don't know. It's possible that Sheila Jackson Lee had the same type of rhetoric for Eric Holder. I doubt that. But it's possible. There was the same tonality, the same aggressive questioning under Eric Holder. And look, it's not about who's playing fair, because none of them play fair. This is politics. They don't play fair. I recognize that. But William Barr really has no leg to stand on in this argument. That's the only point I could make that he made, that I could say anything other than he's a garbage attorney general there to serve the needs and the whims of Donald Trump, which if he didn't do, he'd be out of there as Jeff Sessions. Well, I don't miss Mr. Beauregard, nor would I miss William Barr if he was gone. But as we can see, Trump has the knack, an uncanny knack, to replace bad with worse or similarly bad. She says, I would hope that the DOJ would focus on systemic institutional racism. That's what we need to join us on. That's what we need you to join us on, Mr. Attorney General, and to recognize that institutional racism does exist, and until we accept that, we will not finish our job and reach the goals and aspirations of our late iconic John Lewis. The guy doesn't even admit that it exists, even though he's seen all the data. He knows that given the same situations, black people are pulled over more often, arrested more often, beat more often, shot more often, even unarmed, even shot when unarmed more often, everything more often if you are black. This is just numbers. It's just numbers. But why can I expect more of William Barr when I can't expect the same thing of most Democrats? Half the Democrats believe like William Barr. I mean, they give lip service to it, but they really don't want to accept that there's institutional racism in all of our institutions, including this business that we're doing right now, this thing we're doing right now. In the media business, there's institutional racism. There's institutional racism everywhere. That's why it's called institutional. It's baked into the cake of the thing. It's not a one-off hillbilly in the parking lot, or even a hipster in the parking lot looking down on you, condescending to you because you're black or brown or whatever you are. It's cooked, baked into it's the pillars. It's in the concrete of the building. Now, before I get too rowdy on this point, let's move on to the second clip. Will be Pramila, Representative Pramila Jayapal. She dresses down William Barr in such a way, it's a thing of art.
Government putting limits on protesting, our government's putting limit on attending church.
Are they both First Amendment?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And we should treat them the same, shouldn't we?
Right.
Gentleman's time has expired. Ms. Jayapal.
Mr. Barr, on June 1st, there were protests against the murder of George Floyd and police brutality in Lafayette Park. Let us not be distracted by you or my GOP colleagues as to what these powerful and massive protests were actually about. They were about the persistent killing of black bodies by law enforcement,
Start
and
your show now.
finally,
Press 1
finally,
to hear
an
important
awakening
instructions.
in
Press 2.
America of the
Since it
conscience
appears
of
you're
our
calling
country.
back into a live show,
And yet,
we are
your response,
reconnecting you
Mr. Barr,
now.
was to direct federal officers to close in on the protesters and to use shields offensively as weapons, tear gas, pepper balls, irritants, explosive devices, batons, and horses to clear the area just so the president could get a photo op. So I do want to ask you, do you think that your response, do you think the response at Lafayette Square to tear gas, pepper spray, and beat protesters and injure American citizens who were just simply exercising their First Amendment rights was appropriate?
Well, first, it's my understanding that no tear gas was used on Monday, June 1st.
Mr. Barr, that is a semantic distinction that has been proven false by many fact checkers.
How is it semantic?
Do you think
How is it semantic? Tear gas is a particular compound.
you talked about chemical irritants and it has been proven false by reports? So just answer the question. Do you
Well,
think that
I
it
think
was
peppers-
appropriate at Lafayette Park to pepper spray, tear gas, and beat protesters and injure American citizens?
Well, I don't accept your characterization of what happened, but as I explained, the effort there was
Mr. Barr, I just
effort
asked for
there
a
was
yes
to
or no, so let me just tell you, I'm starting to lose my temper. According to sworn testimony before the House Natural Resources Committee by Army National Guard officer Adam DeMarco, who was there, this was, quote, an unprovoked escalation and excessive use of force against peaceful protesters.
Well, I don't
Numerous
remember, I don't
media
remember
reports have
DeMarco as
confirmed
being,
this.
I don't
Mr.
remember
Barr,
DeMarco
excuse
as
me,
being
this
involved
is
in
my
any of the
time.
decision making.
Sir, the president told governors on a telephone call that the way to deal with the protesters of police brutality and systemic racism like in Lafayette Square is that, quote, you have to get much tougher. You have to dominate. If you don't dominate, you're wasting your time. These are terrorists. And he also talked about you on that call, sir. Here's what he said. He said, the Attorney General is here, Bill Barr, and we will activate Bill Barr and activate him strongly. Do you remember that call, Mr. Barr?
Yes, I do, but he wasn't talking about protesters. He was talking
Mr.
about
Barr,
rioters.
apparently the president believes that you can be activated to implement the president's agenda and dominate American people exercising First Amendment rights if they're protesting against him. But let's look at how you respond when the protesters are supporters of the president. On two separate occasions, after President Trump tweeted, "Liberate Michigan," to subvert stay-home orders to protect the public health of people in Michigan, protesters swarmed the Michigan Capitol carrying guns, some with swastikas, Confederate flags, and one even with a dark-haired doll with a noose around its neck. Are you aware that these protesters called for the governor to be lynched, shot, and beheaded?
No,
You're not aware of that?
I was not aware of it.
Major protests in Michigan, you're the Attorney General, and you didn't know that the protesters called for the governor to be lynched, shot, and beheaded. So
Well-
obviously you couldn't be concerned about that.
Well, there are a lot
You-
of protests
didn't-
around the United States, and on June
Attorney
1st,
General
I
Barr,
was worried
you seem
about
to
the
be
District of
engaging
Columbia,
in
which is
protests
federal.
in certain parts of the country. You're very aware of those, but when protesters with guns and swastikas and
I am
Confederate
aware of
flags, excuse me,
protesters
Mr.
in the
Barr,
federal
this is my
government.
time and I control it. You are aware of certain kinds of protesters, but in Michigan, when protesters carry guns and Confederate flags and swastikas and call for the governor of Michigan to be beheaded and shot and lynched, somehow you're not aware of that. Somehow you didn't know about it, so you didn't send federal agents in to do to the president's supporters what you did to the president's protesters. In fact, you didn't put pepper balls on those protesters. So the point I'm trying to make here, Mr. Barr, that I think is very important for the country to understand, is that there is a real discrepancy in how you react as the Attorney General, the top cop in this country, when white men with swastikas storm a government building with guns. There is no need for the president to, quote, activate you because they're getting the president's personal agenda done. But when black people and people of color protest police brutality, systemic racism, and the president's very own lack of response to those critical issues, then you forcibly remove them with armed federal officers, pepper bombs, because they are considered terrorists by the president. You take an aggressive approach to Black Lives Matter protests, but not to right-wing extremists threatening to lynch a governor if it's for the president's benefit. Did I get it right, Mr. Barr?
I have responsibility for the federal government, and the White House is the seat of the executive
Mr. Barr, let me just
branch,
make it clear.
not
You
for
are
the-
supposed to
the Michigan
represent
authorities
the
can
people
handle-
of the United
Michigan
States
authorities
of
can
America,
handle-
not violate people's First Amendment rights. You are
lady-
supposed to uphold democracy and secure equal justice under the law, not violently dismantle certain protesters based on the president's personal agenda.
Gentlelady's time has expired.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask unanimous consent to also introduce into the record a report from the MIT Election Data and Science Lab, which says that over the past 20 years, more than 250 million ballots have been cast by mail, and the fraud rate is 0.00006%.
Without objection, Mr. Eschenthaler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was pretty strong. I'm over to silence for William Barr. That's long enough. Representative Jayapal put on a clinic dismantling William Barr. He didn't get much of an opportunity to talk, but what really could he say? I mean, the actuality, the fact is, he's trying to hang his defense of not acting or his actions. He's trying to mitigate his actions in D.C. and other places such as Portland by saying we had violent demonstrators, violent protesters. Folks, do you recognize it? Let's clear something up right now, because I notice that there are some people in my comment section who don't understand it. They actually watch Fox News and they believe it. They watch Sputnik or something. I don't know what they're watching, but they believe that shit. Listen here, guys. Every group is going to have different people involved in it, but Portland has been a very diverse group of people, okay? Very diverse group of people. We had military veterans, not causing trouble. Not causing trouble. They're in that group of people that you call crazy lunatics trying to burn down structures. We have high school students. High school students, most of them weaklings. What are they really doing? What means do they have to do much? There are high school students there. There are off-duty lawyers have attended. We have press people also being assaulted. The press are there filming and getting hit with rubber bullets. I've seen it. I don't know what you watched, but it's true. We've had lines of mothers who call themselves the Wall of Moms. Off-duty lawyers, all of these people are in this group that you say are violent demonstrators who are anarchists taking over the world. First of all, an anarchist is an ideology, not undifferent than conservatism or liberalism. It's just the way that you see the world view, okay? That this didn't mean that they are overthrowing the country just because they think the country should be overthrown. Okay, that's so you can't just say that. That is nothing but a gaslighting word. And as I stated, hey, the only lights I stop for are red lights. I don't stop for gas lights, and you shouldn't either. Don't be brought in by BS. Barr claims that the protesters used tasers, pellet guns, slingshots against federal officials and federal officers, but there's been no documentation presented to affirm that. According to our records, though, they say about 28 officers have been injured. 28 officers have been injured in various levels of severity. The most severe was hit as he was trying to stop someone with a hammer trying to break into a building. Okay? Here's the thing. They have not counted the amount of protesters who were injured. Right? They haven't counted. Now, we've counted the number of protests, the number of federal agents injured in Portland at B28. That's the number, okay? That's the number. Do you really believe that there have been more federal officers injured than people without gear? Have you looked at what these people are wearing? And look, remember back in the day, the old football teams where the helmet had no face mask? These kids are out there with less than that and they're playing football, some of them. Okay, do you understand what I'm saying? Barr actually sat up there and asserted that there are more federal officers being hurt. Not in this clip you saw, but later on in the day, after he was cross-examined by a Republican, he asserted that there were more officers being hurt than civilians. That the civilians were doing the attack and that they are the aggressors. And you believe that. You literally believe that people with chest pads, vests, knee pads, helmets, riot gear, the whole works, are somehow coming out taking the brunt of it, getting the worst end of it, than moms, soccer moms, wine moms, guys in shorts, retired vets. You really believe that? When these people have gun shooting pepper balls, projectiles. I mean, if that's what you believe, there's really nothing I could say or do. I mean, you are beyond stupid. I'm surprised you got up this morning and was able to climb out of bed. How do you manage the stairs? I wonder. So this is the problem that we have. I mean, it's one thing to be misled. I mean, you may watch Fox News, but at least step away far enough to think for a second on your own. William Barr is the stoolie for Donald Trump. And I'm not suggesting that other attorney generals weren't stoolies for their president. In fact, I'm pretty certain they were. Or they wouldn't be their attorney generals much longer. I get that. But don't buy into the nonsense knowing that it's not accurate, knowing that it's BS. That makes you a fool. And the last thing we need, if we're going to make any changes here, is to go that way. And on the final note, we're going to go to phone calls, guys. I got to say this. There have been some idiots out there clamoring that we're heading into a race war. No, dummy. We're not headed to a race war. What we're headed to is this extinction. Okay? That good enough for you? Is that sensational enough for you? Huh? Do you feel, I know you like drama and playing it up, makes you feel good. You're bought into whatever garbage theory that you've been seeing on Reddit or whatever the hell, 4chan or whatever garbage social board that you're into. Whether you believe it or not, Donald Trump fans the flame of racism. You not believing that gives me a problem with you, because that means that you're not being clear-eyed here. Relentlessly attacks on black folks, no matter what. It has been his modus operandi. Attacks on Mexicans, modus operandi. Attacks on the Chinese, modus operandi. That's what he's been using repeatedly. But I'm not here to give a pass to the Democratic Party and their use of it either. In fact, though I appreciate Pramila Jayapal giving the business, Representative Jayapal giving the business to William Barr, it's not a mist on me that, let's stop using the black card so hard. Let's talk about what we want done to change it. And if you're going to mention that Attorney General Barr stepped down, did not do what he needed to do in the case of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, I'm with you. But please don't mention Tamir Rice, because that was under Obama, and I didn't see a whole lot being done under him. I got a series of names I could go down a list on. And I know that was before your time, Jayapal, but I'm just making a point that Democrats being performative on these issues is unhelpful. And we know when we're being used. We know when we're being used. So I don't have all the solutions, but I damn sure got a lot of the questions. And until we start answering some of those questions, until you start answering some of those questions, and when I don't mean her specifically, I mean until we put our heads together and answer the question and say, who really is the enemy? Until we can all say in one collective voice that it's a system and that's what needs to change, we're just going to be chasing our tails. But that does not mean that all of a sudden you forget that there's systemic racism, that there was bigotry and corruption, and that the people on the bottom get it the worst. And there are some people who are doing just fine amidst the corruption, the hate. All right, guys, so I'm going to take a quick break. We can go to phone lines. 319-527-6212 is the phone number you dial into. Let's get it on. I hope this phone line works. We are going to be right back at it. And 2 and 2. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back, people. We are ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and take my first call in the queue. I hope that you can hear me. We're going to start with 917. 917, you're live, TB Tuesdays.
Welcome back, people. We are ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and take my first call in the queue. I hope that you can hear me. We'll start with 917. 917, you're live, TB Tuesdays. Welcome back, people. We are ready to go.
917, can you hear me on the phone? 917.
917.
Kim?
Yes, can you hear me on the phone?
917.
Okay, yeah, now I'm in here.
Can you hear me on the phone?
God. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm responding. Yes. So you need to cut down that TV or whatever that was.
Okay. Patton.
Yeah, you're good to go. Okay.
And I have. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Okay. I just had to call when I saw Pramila, the killer. Oh my God. Scorch Bar. Oh my God. You know, I haven't seen anything that good in Congress. Like, I don't even know. And she's thorough. She is definitely a thoroughbred up there. When she hit it with the president pays attention to, or you don't pay attention to certain protests with swastikas and Confederate flags and people with guns, that doesn't hit your radar. But moms, a wall of moms in Portland, now that hits your radar, and that's where you and the president getting these police officers involved, these federal officers involved to break up protests. It just hit me because I haven't heard that much truth in such a long time, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, I wish that I had a congressperson that was that thorough. But the other thing is, like, I want to say is that I'm here, learning, listening, sharing. You know, I'm here because I care, but I want to do more. This is it. This is the moment, right? This is the precipice. I don't know if it's on already, but I know it's about to be on. And I don't have a group. I'm not organized. I don't know if you have information. Like, I need to be more active. I need to help get something done, get peace done, get Medicare for all done, get police defunded, change the way we do things in this country because it's not working. And there's no other moment that is more powerful than to stand up right now before the election. You only have power as people. The most power you have as people is during the election year, before the election, not after. Okay? You get what you want before you pay money for it, not after. You know? And I don't know, maybe you have some words for me, some advice. I really need something.
Wow, that's a very good question. And you know what I'm doing? I'm going to open that question up to everybody on the call because I'm not exactly sure which organization you're looking for. Thank you for the phone call, though. I'm not sure exactly which organization to push you to. As it stands right now, I don't think I can vouch for any one particular organization. What I've done is I've made a commitment to support certain candidates who are running for Congress who I think can be, can be the linchpin for change. Right now I'm supporting, Jen Perlman out there in Florida. I'm supporting, of course, my good friend, gracious to escape me, in West Virginia, Paula Jean, that's it, Paula Jean. So like there are specific candidates that I've gotten behind, and I amplify them, and I retweet everything they got. I also support the Poor People's Movement. I put Reverend Barber. He DMs me whatever he's got going on, and I just promote it. So there's things that I personally do besides do this show and bring people on and stuff to try to amplify certain messages or goals or endeavors that are important. But honestly, there's so much more to do. I'm gonna leave that question open. I want to thank you for posing it. I think it's very important, and especially today. There was someone that was saying that we need to just put our heads down and vote for Joe Biden, and then hold his feet to the fire after we get him in. And there were a lot of people that I saw in this comment section agreeing. And how simple your logic is, that you get the best service before you pay for it. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense, doesn't it? I mean, that's when your negotiation time is at its peak. So, I mean, that's kind of basic, but I guess if you live a much more relaxed, detached, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it was David Pakman who said we need to put our heads down and just go get Biden and get rid of Trump and not care about what we get from Joe Biden. I think that's good words from someone who doesn't need anything from Joe Biden. I'm not here to pick on David Pakman. I'm just saying, I guess you really don't need anything. I wonder if David Pakman has health insurance. I just wonder if you got it. Because I don't right now. I'm just wondering. So maybe the fact I don't have it doesn't put me in such a nice position as you to say, all right, what the hell? Let's just get Joe in. We don't have to have any conditions to get him in. There should be some balancing act that we do or we just don't. I mean, that we do think we have some type of logic to the pressure that we apply. But to apply no pressure and then try to hold us accountable as individuals if we don't give the sufficient amount of push or boost to a candidate that is contrary to what we stand for and does not support the policies and won't even throw us a bone. So this is what I deal with, and this is why I don't rock with anybody individually. It's hard enough to rock with myself on some issues. You understand what I'm saying? So, but thank you so much for that question, guys. Open question to every caller. What's a good organization? If you know of a good organization that a Wolfpack member could contact to join, there's no barrier with having to go to it. That's something they can do online or in some way be involved to help in a positive way to get change that we're trying to get. All right? I'm going to the next call. 623. Thank you, 623, for holding. What's your name? What's your comment? (623)
Oh, can you hear me, Tim?
Now I got you.
Tim?
Yes.
All right. Sorry about that. This is Josh from Phoenix. Thanks for having me on, Tim. I appreciate it.
Sure, man.
And I appreciate the criticism of our poor performing party that for some reason I'm forced to stick around with. I don't know why. Because trust me, a lot of the Democrats I know, don't want to criticize a party, and certainly don't want to criticize Obama or the Clintons. Not enough, in my view, anyway. But as far as organizations go, the Poor People's Campaign certainly does a lot of good work, and the DSA, they do good work, and then they do stuff online. There's not really a lot of barriers to either one of those organizations. And I'm waiting to see when you're going to come out with an ASMR channel. That'd probably kill at least one night for me a week.
Right.
And I don't know.
All right,
I don't know. I got nothing else to spew other than my normal stuff.
Hey, well, look, Josh, man, I appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Right. Thank you, Tim. You got it. Take care, Tim.
You got it, man. Josh says DSA. Good. I didn't think of it, Josh. I'm glad you mentioned it. Democratic Socialists of America organization, and he also co-signed the Poor People's Movement. So, yes, that's two, right? Reverend Barber, you can find him on Twitter. You can find his website. Very popular. You can find both of those are very easy to locate. I don't have the anyone could pull the URLs for those organizations. That would be great. Oh, I'm going to be on the Katie Halper show tomorrow. We're going to talk about a lot of cool stuff. Katie Halper, you know her from everything, right? And right now she's doing Useful Idiots, Rolling Stone. She's going to have some great guests tomorrow. She's going to have Senator Nina Turner, S&T, Hello Somebody. Also Erin Mattei from the Gray Zone. And then they're going to, lower your expectations and bring me on too. So it's going to be a good show. So be there tomorrow. I think we start at like 8-ish, 8:30-ish. I'm going to say 8:30-ish. I want you there early. Make sure you're there. Katie Halper's YouTube show. You know where it is on YouTube. All right, 512. 512, you're live, Freedom. Live on TB Tuesdays. What's your name? What's your comment? I cannot hear you. Something sounds crazy. That don't sound right.
Hello?
Hey, how you doing? Who's this?
This is Sophia from Austin.
Okay. All right, Sophia, what's up?
So, as far as Joe Biden goes, and even, down to Bernie, this criticism of Bernie and him dropping out and, him having more leverage if he stayed in, what leverage would he have at the end of the day? I mean, what? And people they can say anything they want. They can, try to push them as hard as they can, but at the end of the day, Joe Biden doesn't have to do anything yet. And that's how it was from the beginning. I mean, even if Bernie won, they would probably take it away from him at the convention. It's like, what we need to do, I mean, honestly and truly, I really feel like Joe Biden needs to go. I mean, what people aren't really considering is how is he going to act with the police whenever he reacts to being challenged by being aggressive, by insulting people, demeaning them, and even putting his hands on them and threatening to, physically assault them. It's really concerning. It's not like he's going to have anybody to really put their foot down at the end of the day. Look at Trump. And that's why I feel like, I don't know, we just have to get him out, I feel like, because if we leave him in, we have so much to lose. And he's already talking about, persecuting the, quote, anarchists and whatnot, sounding a lot like Trump. I mean, with his dementia, he can start getting back into that old mindset he had back in the day. I don't know. I just feel like it's really, really concerning at this point. I mean, this is a man who said that the Arab Spring was a democratic movement. I mean, he said that if there was no Israel, the U.S. would have to make one to protect our interests in the area. That completely endorsing and advocating for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. And it really goes that deep. And I want to, give a shout out to anybody struggling out there. And I mean, these are really hard times. And I want to say, thank all of you who are out there protesting. I have, disabilities. I can't go out there. And I really appreciate everyone, fighting the good fight. And for anyone who is a part of the Facebook group, I will post more on the story of what happened in Austin. But
okay, I'm gonna have to leave it there, Sophia. We got to keep it moving. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving, guys. We got to keep 832. 832. What happened to 832? She left. Okay. All right, 432. 432, you are live on TB Tuesdays. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. This is Kelly from Texas.
Kelly. What's on your mind, Kelly, my brother? Johnson.
Do what?
I said, what's on your mind, Johnson?
Oh, my name's Kelly.
I call everybody Johnson. What's your comment, Kelly?
Oh, okay, my bad. I'm new to your channel, and I mean, are you good with talking to somebody on the other side, or you only take people that?
Yeah, only take people who know what they're doing when they call up, Kelly. I got to keep going, brother. 202, you're live, Freedom Friday. What's your name? What's your comment?
202, you're live, Freedom Friday. What's your name? What's your comment? 202, you're live.
Hey.
I'm going to need you to cut that down, to cut the whatever that is down.
Sorry, it's up. Give me just 1 second, Tim.
All right.
Hey, how you doing? Zach Bowler in Ellicott City.
All right, Zach. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, Tim. It is really good to sit here, with members of my community, my brothers and sisters, and educate one another and fellowship one another. And all of us, I think, especially those here tonight, we feel a need to do something. And, I just want to reassure your callers that we are doing just that right now. We are supporting, educating one another, and we are preparing to take on this impossible fight that we have ahead of us. And I just want you all to know that as long as I'm alive, I will have nothing but love and courage and compassion for my brothers and sisters. And I just want to thank you all for being here tonight.
All right, Zach, thank you for the phone call, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I just want people to know what happened with Kelly there. I don't know. He's new to the show. You call up. It's not about having a conversation with me. It's just a comment on any issue that you want to. If he would have said, "Hey, I feel this way about the protest," I wouldn't have cut him off. I'd let him make his point. But it's not to call up and say, "Can I have a conversation with you?" And when you're willing to talk to me, basically, can I waste your time with things that I want to say to try to contradict whatever you said? And that's not what the show's about. So for anybody that doesn't know how this works, Freedom Friday and TB Tuesdays are forums for people to call up and have their voices heard. You're speaking on multiple platforms. I provided a platform for you to speak your truth, whatever it is. And we ain't got to agree for you to do it. I don't have to agree with your truth. Or, it'd be great if we can come to some agreement, but we don't have to. That's what Freedom Friday is and TBT Tuesdays are. So just a little clarity. Moving on. 559 is in the house. 559, you're live on TV Tuesdays. What's your name? What is your comment?
Hey, Brother Tim, Brother Eric, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. What's up, Eric? What's on your mind, my brother?
Oh boy, yeah, it's almost the world's just going crazy. But to check your voter registration. What's your voter registration like? Is they're doing it. They're doing it in plain sight. And I think a lot of the stuff you were mentioning earlier. I mean, it's the blindfold. Call it opiates, call it whatever you want, but it's basically to keep everybody from. Hey, this is what they're really doing. This is what's happening, and we need to knock that shit off. I get a distinct impression that, I mean, again, even when people talk about Bernie and whatnot, well, what are we going to do? What are we prepared to do as a people? I almost like to call this time now. It's like the Great American Call. They're calling our bluff. It's like, what can we do? And when I say we, meaning the lawmakers and basically the rich folk, the super rich folk, the 20th floor types, the ones I'm talking about. How much can we get away with before they break? And this is what's going on right now. That's why it's great that we got people holding it down. That's what it's going to take. And staying on point, staying sharp. Like the whole thing, the defund. I'm glad that's starting to kind of at least die down or some in some respect. Because I mean, it's stupid. I mean, all right, you get their attention, but then you move to something else, and it's systemic racism. There's a problem with the system now. Maybe refund or something like that. Just to keep on your toes, to keep moving. That's why I like what Sister Nina said, about the bowl of shit. It's to make a greater point, because what are we going to force his ass to do? Because you're not forcing Trump to do anything. He is itching to, that motherfucker's not going to leave. We're going to probably have to take his ass out in handcuffs, and we better be prepared to do it. And that's just the reality. Listen to what he said. Listen to what he said on the Chris Wallace interview. I don't know if I can accept the results. Yeah, I mean, how much more clear do you need it? I mean, right now is not the time to pick the color fire hose that you put out the fire with. I mean, in that respect, it's the time to take a stand up, and be counted. Because look, playtime's over. Playtime's been over for the longest damn time, and to wake up, realize what needs to be done. Because when you realize what needs to be done, you know what? You may not like it, but you know what? We've liked a lot of shit over the years, and this is where we're at. Maybe we ought to try something different. Maybe we ought to try actually doing backing up our talk, because then it's like the all or nothing stuff. Bernie's not this, and he's a hell of a lot more than what we got in the White House. Was a hell of a lot more than what anybody else coming down the pipeline. Historic, campaign, and it's dog shit. Really? Okay, keep doing it. This is why we're here where we're at. Because they got all the money. They got real quick. We cannot run out of the currency that we can print. Like they talk about that shit with China. It's one thing that's been grinding me. No, we don't care about that. Like the debt, what inflation? There is no inflation. We just all of us, magically poof out of thin air, trillions of dollars. And so, like the thing with the debt with China, they don't even have like 10% of it. But see, even if they did, we owe them our money that we can print. And unless I have to start paying for shit that I.
All right. All right, Brother Eric, I appreciate it.
Johnson.
Hey, man, you the man.
Because that shit. So there you go.
All right, Eric, thank you for the phone call, man. I appreciate it. Wow. 832, there you go. 832, you're live, TV Tuesdays. What's your name? What's your comment?
Yo, what's happening, Tim? This is Greg calling from LA, man. How you doing this evening?
I'm good, Greg. What's on your mind, my friend, Johnson?
Well, Jonathan, I was talking to my partner, man. He's a part of Black Lives Matter in his area, and I hadn't really had a chance to speak with him. But when I did, I was like, how could you support that organization? Like, knowing what we know about them, where, we understand their funding is and how they're being used to perpetuate this level of acceptance that politicians have for us. And you see how the NBA has the Black Lives Matter on the hardwood floor. Me personally, it makes me want to change the channel when I see it. But I asked him, how could you support them? He's a Muslim, a member of the FOI, NOI, and, we had a real in-depth conversation. And it kind of got to the point of like, what kind of accountability do we hold ourselves as a community? We hear it all the time when they throw Black Lives Matter out there, like, well, what are you guys doing about, what's going on in your community? And I don't agree that's a fair argument. But ever so often, white supremacy gives us jewels off of their tree that we need to digest. Like, why can't we as a community look at ourselves and say, you know what, while they're not giving us what we need, what can we expect of ourselves in order to put ourselves in a better situation? Like, why are we staying asleep when we have this moment of clarity and not really doing much to take advantage of it, but pointing fingers and shooting each other down? And, when the lady earlier asked what organization could she join, I mean, like, what is her source of community that she has conversations with that agree with her on these topics that we talk about or things that we think about as a minority within, but majority outside of ourselves? People who see what we see, feel what we feel, and believe what we believe. How can we stimulate that growth? Because right now we're not where we need to be to get what we want. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, but I feel like we have a lot of eye opening, a lot of cleaning our own closets, and in order, like, I believe growth is a two-way street. Like, not only do the situations around you have to improve, but inside you have to improve the way that you deal with things, and that's just kind of where I'm at with it. I do believe in defunding the police. I do believe in, I don't believe that Trump or Biden is the answer. But, it's just kind of hard to say, like, where do we go from here? Like, one of those guys are going to be in the White House, like, where is the resistance going? Are we going to say, only if you give us Medicare for all, we'll be down with you? Or are we going to demand our full plate? Like, what are we doing?
All right, brother. Well, thank you, Greg, for the phone call, man. That's a lot. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. You went a lot of different directions there, brother. Just know that, I mean, we talk about no group of any people is what's the word for it? Is unified to the degree that they all have the same outlook or the same goal, right? And I mean, heck, if color was the only thing, maybe that'd be an issue. Maybe you could say that, but we have people of different orientations, different religions, different ages. What's important to me as I approach the middle life is different from you. You sound like a much younger man. What's important to you is totally different as far as what may be of urgency, what's priority. So I don't, I'm really, I'm not like, I would say check the tone of that where you're, where we need to, what want we, and we need to, that's always, these types of arguments can always be leveled at any group, at any time, for any reason. There are people working hard, tirelessly, in communities that are doing fantastic work. Never forget that. Never lose sight of that. They do not get the amount of, so for instance, one of the things that I want to do, and this is, and it kind of pains me because this is something I really wanted to focus on, which is I wanted to make, I am the president of TTL Media. It's a media company, right? Small media company. I started it. One of the things I wanted to do was be able to help small organizations working in communities doing great work, to be able to have the ability to have someone help manage their social media, to come in and do videos and shoot video content. It's something that I know how to do. Obviously, I grew this from zero with no help, with no, and to be able to give them that, because whenever you have these well-intended, great organizations, they're always, what they do is, the best ones, they take every dollar they have and they funnel it back into the organization. They funnel it back into doing the thing that they were founded to do. Those are the best organizations. So you know what they don't have, Joe? What they don't have, Johnson? They don't have people on staff who know how to work social media, how to amplify messages, how to put together content. So that's probably something that they neglect a lot. So like one of the things I wanted TTL Media to be able to do is to come in and just take that from them and say, we'll put together a series of videos for you. We'll help promote what you have going on. This is something that we want to be able to do. And that was the nonprofit side of what I want to do. The nonprofit side of my TTL Media is we spun off into a 501c. So like these are things because I recognize this. So the greater point being is that a lot of these organizations that are doing a lot of great work, you don't even know about them. I don't know about them. And that's because the system is all stacked against them. The funding is stacked against them. They don't have the resources to get their names, to get their messages out there. But I'm telling you, brother, they do exist. So if we can help them grow, to your point, and remember, like it's daunting when you think of all the help and all the changes we need to make. It is daunting when you look at it that way, but as we focus, as you say, internally and then externally, very, very, very focused, specifically, we can see change happen. We can make change happen. And repeating that, I think, is the way. All right, I'm going to leave it there, Greg. Anyone else with other suggestions for Greg, that'd be great. And don't forget to answer the first question was asked, what are some organizations that you know of that you can assist or that you can join, a person in the Wolfpack can join in order to have the most impact? Join the Tim Black Wolfpack. We real cheap, only $5 a month, starting at $5 a month, so we real cheap. But what organizations can they join? And right now we have DSA, and we have the Poor People's Movement with Reverend Bishop Barber. So let's keep going. That's crazy. 360, you're live on TV Tuesdays. What's your name? What's your comment?
So is this me, Tim?
That's you, my friend. How are you?
Well, all right. This is Ramona from Washington State.
Yes.
I wanted to ask something of everyone. It's not joining an organization, but I'm beginning to wonder about us allowing the use of the word violence and not challenging what people mean by that. So to me, violence seems to be applied only unilaterally. It's only used when people are trying to stop something from happening. That's okay. That's the police inflicting violence. But if you are trying to do something that seems to have too much energy behind it for change, then that's considered violence. That's not okay. So the speed at which something is enacted, the violence, is not what makes it violent or not, at least in my point of view. It's whether or not the act itself is intending to do harm. So slow, systemic, grinding, inexorable violence is what we're experiencing right now as all of us, that we're not being given a just system to live in. So I would ask people to just, when someone mentions that protests are violent, as they did with us in Seattle, and we got tired of hearing it because what they would do for us when we would set up a protest or a march is the police would give us guidelines about where we could be, what roads we could go through, what time of day it could be. So at that point, it just becomes a parade with people carrying signs. So I think that's why you're seeing some of what happened in Seattle and now what's happening also in Portland. So anyway, again, I would just ask that we all politely question when the use of the term violence comes up in conversation. Anyway, love to everyone out there. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Johnson. I appreciate it. Very good point, Ramona, about violence. How do you define it? I hear people say that is violent. Language can be violent. And to Ramona's point, when she said it, I get it. when it's used to hurt. You know what I'm saying? When it's used to hurt, and when it's used as a bludgeon. Can anyone deny that it's violent to say, I don't know, when Trump made the comment to his massive crowd that, you know, Mexicans, they bring us their they're drug dealers, they're rapists, and some of them are okay. That was violent language. I mean, it was the only intention of it, besides the fact to placate his audience, was also to hurt, to injure. Good point, Ramona. This thing's, you know, old school Tim Black needs to get to it. You know what I mean? Like, don't say this, say that. Intersectionality, been having to learn more about these concepts, and beyond. You know what I'm saying? Microaggressions. These are all terminologies that weren't around when I was coming up, frankly. What was around was you can lose your damn job. Like HR rep. Yeah, see, these are terms I'm more familiar with, due to age and when I came about. 704, you're live on TV Tuesdays. What's your name? What's your comment? Oh, sorry, 704. Let me try that again. There you go. Hey.
Dr. Black.
Hey.
Dr. Black, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Yeah, wow, it's almost 1 o'clock. My bad. What time is it where you are, sir?
Is pressurized by merging the AFL-CIO and Teamsters with Black Lives Matter. That way, we can go about doing it this way. We can pressurize maybe the Republicans or Democrats. And that way, we can do it by what Bernie Sanders told us to do, by small donations. And we can deal with corporate lawyers. And that's how I see it. And that's what we're going to have to do so they can understand we can fight back.
Wow. What are those organizations again? You said the
AFL-CIO, Teamsters, etc.
Oh. All right. Well, look, I appreciate you taking time.
And we merge with them. Black Lives Matter.
Gotcha. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate you being here and calling up on the show, and thank you for your input. I couldn't hear it. The phone line got wacky when you first started. I couldn't hear you. Trying to get everybody in here. I want to fit everybody in. 912, you're live. TV Tuesdays. What's your name? What's your comment? 912.
Hi, Tim.
Hey.
Hey, this is Lisa from Georgia.
Lisa from Georgia.
And the reason I'm calling is that I think that everybody has to realize that we have one corrupt party. There are no Democrats. It's all one Republican corrupt corporate party. And that lady that called in, I wanted to tell her about Nick Brana and the People's Party. And I don't know, they're protesting at Pelosi's house and other congresspeople's houses. And I think that's all well and good. But I think maybe the time has come, and maybe now is the perfect time for a real revolution. I think it's a class war. I think that we have to stop the rich and bring them to their knees in any way we can. If we have to have a strike, a general strike, you know, food workers, healthcare workers, everybody, just stop everything. Their knees, and they couldn't make their money anymore. And I mean, maybe this is a time for a real revolution. I think that capitalism is folding in upon itself, and you know, the police are violent, and maybe we need to get violent too. And I liked when the protesters got leaf blowers and blew the gas back in their faces. I like that. Is that too violent?
No, that's not too violent. I'm glad they did it too.
Me too. I was damn glad of it. And I was glad they burnt down that police station and they went running out of there. How many times these cops are freaking out of control? I was going to say the F word, but I held back. So anyway, yeah, Tim, I think now might be the time for a real revolution. Look what they did to Bernie. Every time Obama rears his ugly head, Bernie backs down. Back in 2016, he came up. There goes Bernie. Here he is again, calling up his friends, Pete Buttigieg, all this. Has a call with Bernie. There goes Bernie. What hope do we have anymore, Tim?
God. Oh, God. I knew it was coming. All right, Lisa. Thanks for the phone call, sister. I appreciate it. I disagree with you. So
we tried it the nice way. It ain't working.
Once Bernie's no longer in Congress, then who will we blame? Once Bernie's no longer there, then who will you blame? Yeah, who will you blame? That's why when you said Nick Brown, I knew it was coming. It was going to be Nick Brown and Jimmy Dore and everybody, all these people there. Yeah. I'm glad I left that behind, Johnson. I disagree. I'm just going to leave it at that because we got other calls to get in here. 908, you're live. TB Tuesdays 908. What's your name? What's your comment?
What's up, Tim Black? This is Kev from Maryland.
All right, man. What's going on? What's on your mind, my friend?
Yeah, we are going through some hard times in the country, and I think politically speaking, folks on the left are also going through a hard time now that, Bernie's no longer in the race. It's like, who do we look to? Like, who else is left? I kind of have an idea. Well, it's just something I would like to see on one of your future shows. I watch plenty of shows, so something I would like to see is us talk about, like, kind of take a temperature check, like a strengths-based check of, like, what is going good right now for the progressives. I know it's hard to think about because it doesn't seem like much is going well. Well, looks like we have Jamal Bowman out of New York, and I'm watching this guy. He looks like a real one. Like, he looks like he, is not going to start off left and then run to the right. He seems like he's a real one. Look at Kentucky's political shift. How the governor went from, I'm not sure who the guy's name was, but there was a Republican governor who was basically a Republican hack. And in Kentucky, the teachers union got political power and changed who that governor was. Some of those same things are happening in West Virginia. The teachers union there in 2018, I believe, to run for Senate, didn't get past the primary. Now she's in the general election this year, and she's a really awesome candidate. We got ranked choice voting in Maine. We have ranked choice voting that's been newly approved in New York City. And the Green Party, this might be the election year for the Green Party where they finally break 5% and they're able to get federal matching dollars for future elections. And that would go a long way to breaking the one-party system that we currently have of the Democrat and Republicans being one party. We need a viable option. So maybe this is the year that Greens get past 5%. So I would love to, listen to a show from you where you're kind of where you're talking about, what else is, happening that might be good going on right now. And to that, it's very interesting to look at social media, look at TV, and social media especially, where, the mask is off. We clearly see the Democratic Party for what it is. Look at their vote with not cutting the Pentagon budget. Look at their platform veto of Medicare for all. Yeah. I mean, the mask is off, or should I say, the hoods are off. And those are all positive developments. So, that's kind of one point. And if I can make a second point, I'm a younger dude, and I was not able. I was too young to like watch in the '90s when Bill Clinton ran for president, and basically when he got in office, he had to adopt the whole tough on crime mindset and prove that the Democrats were not wusses and the Democrats could be tough on crime the same way how the Republicans were being tough on crime. From what I've read and what I understand, like that was a real thing back in the '90s. After Ronald Reagan, the Democrats had to prove that they weren't wusses. And obviously they ran to the right like they constantly do. But today was interesting because I'm listening to Joe Biden talk on the radio, and he's adopting that mentality right now and how unlike Trump, I'm going to prosecute them nicely. I'm not going to prosecute them the way how Trump does. But yeah, my name's Joe Biden, and I'm going to prosecute them. Like, it was crazy to me to kind of listen to that, and to me, maybe what I was listening to today felt like a lot like what it was in the '90s. So that's about it. That's my comment.
Hey, well, thank you for that because I did not get an opportunity to listen to Joe Biden's speech. I listened to like one clip and I figured, I don't really want to comment on it yet because the speech was like an hour, right? And it was a clip, not the original speech, but it was a clip from it that like CBS had run. I was like, you know what, I can't. I know there's more, and I'm glad I didn't comment on it just because they didn't cover that part, Johnson. So they left out the point you're making. It was some clip about minority businesses or something that they put out. Anyway, that being said, I will come back. Oh, this is something I want to offer to you, my friend. Tev, from Maryland. Look, man, we're very short-staffed here. So if you really want something done, like if you want a story done, like I recently covered Mr. Martinez, Enrique Roman Martinez, who was a soldier who was murdered in Fort Bragg, because someone contacted me and asked me to cover that story. For something like what you're suggesting, you can be the producer of that story. You can produce that show. You can produce that content. What you would do is basically outline what you're trying, and we can collaborate on it. And I can give you a producer credit for it. I'm definitely open to that, man. There's features within YouTube where you can get producer credits for a story. Because I need that type of help. Being, doing all this on your own is very much a lot to do. So if it's something you really want to see get done, get involved, my brother. Email us at clientcare@timblacktv.com. Clientcare@timblacktv.com. And you can say, hey, this is a story idea. This is what I got. This is what I think we'll put together. If we'll respond and be like, okay, I think that's something we could do. And then you can start like kind of formatting it and, come up with, leads or sources or whatever. And we'll use that in the story and we'll do it. We'll put it out. We'll do it together. All right. Thank you, Tev. I appreciate you. 252. Is that Kara? I think it is.
Yep.
Hey, Kara, how you doing? What's on your
Yep,
mind,
that's
sis?
me.
Good.
Hey, how you doing, Tim?
I'm good, sis.
Yeah, I was really discouraged by a lot of what happened this week with the DNC. That shit really made me feel away because, it just feels like our democracy is going to hell in a handbasket. It's just like they're not hiding anything anymore. Everything's out here. They are literally letting people suffer on a scale that I never thought was even possible in a first world country. It's just like the stuff that you're hearing right now is things that happened in very impoverished countries. It's things that happened in, war-ridden countries. Like the level of just disregard for the populace is just really crazy. I've been seeing a lot, more. I live in just outside of
the mandate for the evictions hasn't even come up yet. And I've been seeing a whole lot of people, look like they homeless and they haven't eaten and things like that, because I've been home for this last week on some home time, taking off from work. And it's just been really sad because I just really never thought that it would get to this level. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these people, based on, how they're dressed and things like that, that they have at some point worked. And that they have at some point done the things that, all of us do. We go to work, we try to look the best that we can and do the best that we can to take care of our families. And it's just really disheartening to see this on such a mass scale, and nobody is doing anything about it. It's like they are letting us suffer, When they were taking these weeks off from Congress and they were just letting this happen, I just didn't understand, like, how in the hell can you expect people to pay taxes on one hand, and this is how you allow them to live? This is what our tax dollars are supposed to be for you to take care of us in our times of need. We have always topped the bill for every major war that they have done. And it's just like, when it's time for you to show up and show out for us, where are you? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I just can't, on a real level, being one of the working class, being somebody that, I'm lucky I haven't had to suffer because I worked this entire thing. But if I hadn't worked this entire thing, I don't know where I would be. Right. You know what I'm saying? I work in a field that, has allowed me to just work and be safe working because I have limited, people interactions. But, there are a lot of truck drivers that are now starting to get sick from the COVID, and it's really getting scary out here. And that's why I took some time off, because at the end of the day, family is most important. And if something's going to happen to me, I'd rather be at home with my family. And it's just like, I don't get how we as a populace are not, raging and revolting out right now. Why wait till the end? Why wait till the moratoriums and stuff end? Put the pressure on them right now while we have the advantage, because once another presidential candidate gets in office, I don't think we're going to have a leg to stand on. Joe Biden is being given every bit of leverage and every bit of disregard of his record. He keeps saying, look at his record. But if people really look at his record, is they really going to vote for him? Absolutely not. He caused a lot of these problems that exist that we are looking to him to fix. So it's just like, I don't get what in the hell is going on where, I know that a lot of people are revolting right now for Black Lives Matter and the George Floyd situation, but it's going to look like child's play compared to what the heck is going to happen when people are, 30% of the populace is put out of their homes. It's just crazy. I don't get what the hell Congress is dragging their feet on. $1,200 is not a lot of money, and for most people, they won't even pay a month's rent. Right. So let's talk about real legislation and real reforms and the pressure that we need to put on these candidates today, and not wait until tomorrow or the day after, because it's not going to get any better until we truly put the pressure on them to do something. Because right now we've been very, very quiet, in my opinion. I don't want things to get as bad as they got in the 1950s and 60s, but I kind of feel like if they don't, it's just nothing is going to change, because they have outright allowed so much suffering to happen. I have no faith whatsoever, and I don't see how anybody has any faith in Congress. I vote to vote them all out. I'm voting Green Party. I have been seeing some progressive candidates spring up around here, and I am so happy. I am so happy because North Carolina is a swing state. But, Donald Trump has been laying down some pretty good foundation here in my state. I mean, I've seen a lot. Since I've been home, I've been greeted by 2 people in the middle of a pandemic came to my house. Are you registered to vote? Are you registered to vote? And they had Trump all across the cars. And I was just like, yeah, I'm registered. You ain't got to worry about that. Go on about your business, because I am not voting for him. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy. I just don't get, the disregard. It's just really, it's just a disregard for human life at this point. And it's really.
All right, Kira. Well, look, thank you so much for the phone call, Kira. I got to keep it moving, but we appreciate you.
And I've, also noticed some census takers out here, too.
Okay, Kira. Hey, Kira, I got to keep it moving. I thank you for the phone call, though, and look forward to hearing from you next time. 541, you're live. TV Tuesdays, what's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, my name's Tim also. Hello?
Hey, Johnson.
Hey. So, yeah, I'm calling from Oregon. I live in Walden's district, so I live out in the sticks or whatever. But, like, Kate Brown is elbows deep in what's going on from the opposite angle, where she's dealing with all this government blow up freaking from underneath. And I think she could be a great Veep. I mean, she has a wife, so she's kind of a minority in that regard. And other than that, your last few callers have been absolutely fabulous. And dude, the 5-alarm siren works great. As soon as Michael fell, everything, we need to stick together. We got to keep rolling. And I just think Kate Brown would be a real, like, nice hoodwink on the old senile guy who's going to be our president or whatever. Anyway, thank you for giving me time.
Sure, Tim, I appreciate you. Thanks for calling in, man. And sound like Tim is having fun there in Portland. I know when I went to Portland, there was a lot of party favors that were at disposal. I could not partaketh, but I do know that. I'm going to next call, 510. You're live on TV Tuesdays. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, what's up, bro?
Hey, what's happening?
Hello? Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Who's this?
This is Jamal from California, bro.
All right, now. What's up? What's on your mind, Jamal?
Oh, not much, man. I'm just calling in. I hopped on the line, listening, but I wanted to call in and just say, man, I appreciate what you're doing. Like the dude before said, man, the last couple callers, they made a lot of good points, especially the points about Joe Biden. It's kind of a weird situation I have to deal with, having to deal with a guy using
90
the apparatus,
seconds.
a guy who built the apparatus to kind of crush these protests. That William Barr situation today was insane. You know, it's like he totally skirted all those questions and never even caught to the fact that they got an agenda for this election. For the election, for the protesters, for him to get up there and act like he didn't know that those Nazis were trying to, were threatening the governor's life. I mean, that's
60 seconds.
Just basic, fundamentals of his job. And he didn't even bother to deal with that. And so I think it's a trip right now, bro. We got two very different perceptions and agendas for white supremacy as far as the Democrat Party and the Republican Party go. They got two different playbooks, right? The Republicans tell you, man, we don't really care. We're going to do what we want to do. They're pretty crass about it. There's no hiding their agenda. And the Democrats get on TV. You get Joe Biden, like you said, bro, he get up there talking about, look at my record. Bro, your record is one of the worst records of anybody in this party, and even in the other party.
True.
This dude is, and I think the difference is what people see is the difference is you have Trump. Trump is a
10 seconds.
Right? Every time he lies, we all see it. His people don't see it, but we all see it. The majority of people see it. I think the problem with Joe Biden is he convinces, for the most part, well-meaning people that he's telling the truth, when his agenda is no different than Trump's agenda at all. Maybe a few tweaks here and there, but I think his agenda isn't that much different than Trump's. He doesn't go after Trump for the things that are important. He goes after Trump for the same things Republicans go after him for, like decorum and, he could have said this a different way. It's like, man, what timeline are we on? This is crazy, And, I'll leave it at that. I want to, rest in peace, Michael Brooks. The majority report, Michael Brooks, that's kind of how I got plugged into you. And I never got to tell Michael that. But I'm going to tell you, since you're still here, bro, give you a rose now. I thank you for helping change my perception on Obama and seeing him for who he really is. A disagreement I had with Michael about that whole situation is this, and I kind of feel like we're seeing it play out now, is that, Obama was who he was, but at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of white people to dismantle white supremacy. And you see it in these protests. You see our allies out there putting their necks on the line and doing God's work and doing the work to, you know, to dismantle the plans of their ancestors. And I think that's a great thing. And we need to hug our allies, rest in peace, to Gregory Foster in Austin. He got murdered. We still don't know who the shooter is. I got a good hunch that it's some right-winger or somebody tied to law enforcement, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. Thanks for taking my call, homie. You have a good night. Stay safe, and, you know, keep it pushing, bro.
There you go, Jamal. Thank you for the phone call, man. Rest in peace to Jamal. My bad. To Greg Foster. Foster. You know, I was going to comment on that story. I couldn't tell. I hear two sounds of gunfire. And I'm like, I think it's Gregory Foster. Mr. Foster. And so I've been reticent to go into it until I had the opportunity to study because the footage is very hard for me to tell who's what's going on. I know that he had been attending a number of rallies there. He'd been with his quadriplegic girlfriend and pushing her wheelchair, but he was carrying a gun, and so I'm a little concerned about how to approach that. Truth has always got to be our shining beacon. It's always got to be our North Star, right? I'm going to the next call, but I got to say this. You know, one of the reasons why I push back when people are dissing or they're saying very indicting things about Black Lives Matter and how this is playing out in the streets with the protests is because I don't for a second believe that every person that you see in those streets are the form or are the product of a George Soros or of some other narrative. All right? No wine mom is out in Portland right now, while we're inside nice and safe, listening to the Tim Black Show, me doing the Tim Black Show. No one's out there doing that I don't think she's out there doing that because of George Soros. Or she's out there doing it for a false narrative to hurt Donald Trump. I think she's out there doing it because she believes in it. Okay, and I think the same thing about the vets that are there, all the folks, the majority of the folks. So that's why I push back, because for you to actually believe that, of course, there's always going to be, you know, people throwing money here. This is America. That's what America is. A corporation trying to embrace a popular thing. In order to garner support or to be looked at favorably to build its brand. That's always going to be happening. There's absolutely nothing you can do. Somebody could do that with my show. Somebody could try to support this show. Yeah, it's you know, we're pretty good. Like, they might want us to use my show for their own means. But only thing I can tell you is that I will never be influenced by what anyone does on this show, other than my viewers and myself and my own principles. But so. You can never, what a person's intentions are. There have been people who have given me $5 and thought they had a license to try to tell me what to do on my show. So when you say, Soros and this organization, and people operate in crazy spaces. People do all types of crazy things. At the end of the day, it all comes down to what the people, and I think individually, those people putting themselves in harm's way, getting shot with rubber bullets and bean bags, getting teeth knocked out. I've seen a couple of, no one's talking about all the protesters I see who've been blinded in an eye, lost an eye in these protests. They're not there because of George Soros. They're not there because they got a false narrative they want to perpetrate to knock down Donald Trump. They're there because they believe in that mission. So when you slander them under the guise of trying to get at the tentacles of a corporation or of an organization you might disagree with, the byproduct, the aftermath is that you're hurting good people. You're talking negatively about good people. And meanwhile, we're here and we're doing this show. So I just caution all people to realize that, we have to be there to get the full story on anything. And even if you are somewhere, you're not everywhere. And neither am I. And that's why we need to grow this show. We need to grow our movement in order to empower journalists, field journalists, to shoot film in these places so we get firsthand accounts right there. So that's part of The brainchild of TTL Media is to give press credentials to people in the field, and we anyway. There's more to come. There's more exciting things to come for what we're doing with the Wolfpack, and that's it. Let me go to the next call. I didn't mean to go that long. 719. Thank you, 719. What's your name? What's your comment?
Hey, Tim, how's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I called in a couple weeks ago and I kind of was not very organized, but I kind of am this time, man. And, well, I'm sick of all these damn conservatives that never actually believe in anything. They scream freedom and First Amendment rights or whatever. And then when cops come, when federal agents snatch people up that are protesting out there in Portland, they have nothing to say. Because they don't believe in anything. They don't believe in anything, man. They just, I'm team red, you're team blue. That's just how it works. But that's not right, man. Tim, I like you because you're like principle, man. You actually believe in things, and I do too. The caller earlier was saying something about, if some Republican came out for universal health care, would I support it? Yes, I would. Of course I would. How would you not, man? Because actually, I believe in that, man. That's something that I actually believe in, man. And I don't know. That's my little spill for the night, Tim. But thank you very much, and I appreciate what you do, man. Because media is so bought and paid for anymore. It's hard to get the truth from anybody, and you actually give me the truth, man. And I appreciate it, and thank you very much, man. Have a good night.
You too, brother. Thank you for calling up. I'm glad you called back in, man, and you show your resiliency to call back. Because anybody can have an off night. I know I have them. I have them a lot. So, well, not a lot, but I have my share of bad nights. And this is me at my best, because I've been at my worst, brother. You don't want to know. To your point, my friend, look, part of what, and if I'm not mistaken, that was the last call. Jamal, Kira, and my friend who just called are the part of what got me in a little bit of trouble early on, folks. What got me in a little bit of trouble was I actually thought that Donald Trump was going to do some things. I thought Donald Trump was going to take the black vote from the Democrats. I actually believed that there was a possibility that he would say, you know what, we're going to shut down the Democrats. I actually think Donald Trump had a window where he could have said, you know what, I could upset the whole apple cart. Instead, he went the other way. He became one of the worst, most detestable people, one of them that I've seen, with his outwardly just don't give a damn, just mimicry of a person who's a leader. I don't know. But he could have went the other way. He could have done different. He could have did some stuff. And so if Donald Trump tomorrow woke up and said, I'm giving him universal health care, I'd support that. I would totally support that. I'm an independent, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know who. Hey, I want the best for the people. That's all I'm doing every day. That's my goal. That's my North Star, the best for the people. Speak truth to power and fight for the best for the people and try to get us the best deal possible. That's it. Democrats don't fund me. Democrats don't do it. What do they do for me? Nothing. And even if they did, so what? But they don't. People do. People like Kara. People like Jamal. People like Brother Eric. People like Sophia. That's you're not a Democrat or Republican. You're Sophia. You're Johnson. You're Johnson's Johnson. So that's how I tend to look at it. That's how I think is the most healthy way to look at this thing. Either that or you become one of those people going, everybody got to support Biden and don't dare ask anything of him, because if we do, we're not with the team. And that's a horrible way to look at life, and it's also counterproductive for people who actually want a revolution, actually see change and know the necessity of it happening is sooner than later, or if it happens at all. All right, guys. So that's all I got. Thank you for everybody who called up tonight. Fantastic calls. It's been a rough one, rough couple of days. There's still more to digest with these acts. I need to go through them and do a more of a deeper dive about what's really missing, okay, and all the issues that are surrounding that. And I need to dissect Joe Biden's speech. I haven't done that. I need to do that. So stay focused. Don't let nobody take your cornbread. Don't forget, I got a website now. It's active, TimberlakeTV.com. It's been revamped thanks to my friend Sean. Thank you, Sean, for hooking me up and making the website much better and improved. And, yeah. And don't forget, you can submit articles for the website. We got a blog section. Got something to say, nobody lets you say it. I'll let you say it. Well, I hope. Anyway, you can submit articles for the blog. That'd be great. Helps get people traffic to the website. What else? While I think of it, let me go to the comments section, see if I got some shout-outs on Super Chat. Yeah, we got a new member. Wow, new members always excite me. That means I did something tonight. Marlene Coach. Welcome to the Wolfpack, Marlene. Thank you for joining us. Movie Dad. I like that. That's a good one. What's up, Movie Dad? Thank you for joining the Wolfpack. That's a good name, actually. Movie Dad. Yeah. You got girl dads and movie dads. Yeah. Michael Laprado, Jay Paul and SmackDown on bar. It's like political porn. Oh, yeah, she got him, Johnson. She got him. I just wanted to make sure it's like, yo, I like that. Keep doing what you're doing on the legislative side. Keep fighting for tangible stuff. Thank you, though. Thank you for exposing him. But I can't, you know what I'm saying? I got to remind myself that that's not everything. I love it, though, because that's, Jay Paul doing that, it's like, that's my thing, you know? That really grabs me, but there's a more rational side of me that's like, okay, let's let everybody get all hype on that. How we gonna win some wins? How we gonna get some wins for working people? Yeah. All right. Sheldon Hughes. Jay Paul's putting the boots to bar. Yes. See, everybody's like that. Self-taught artist. Message gone. Roger Meadows. Phone line access but didn't work like healthcare. Best analogy. Thank you. Phone line access but didn't work, but looks like healthcare. Thank you, my friend. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Roger Meadows, to all my fellow New Yorkers, call Senior Majority Leader Andrea Stewart Cousins' office to stop holding out and pass S3577. It is the New York State level Medicare for All bill. Look at that. One more co-sponsor is needed, and if Miss Cousins would get off the pot, we can get it passed. Pressure her. Roger says, hey, Tim, COVID-19 is the best thing to happen to bad breath. What? Man, see, family, this is what I'm talking about, man. See what I'm saying? Thank you. God played cruel joker. That's when we can't smell our own breath. COVID forces us to wear a mask, forcing us to smell our own breath. I love it. Try eating dinner, then put on a mask. Well, I tell you, man. Roger, you tripping, man. Nancy Vanter. People's Party Org, they organize protests and events around the country. Roger Meadows says, imagine if 25 states passed ballot initiatives to abolish all political parties. How 50 senators, no affiliation, would put both GOP and Dems and minority hold everyone accountable, including themselves. Roger, you up here, man, just like that, just throwing, great ideas out into the hemisphere. Like, that is true. If there was no parties, then everyone would be forced to focus on personalities. Come on, this is America, man. We are fast food politics all the way. And that's part of one of the issues that I see. Is like, people got to be charismatic. They got to know how to move the crowd. They got to know how to excite people. I mean, we need political school for some of these people. Great policies, but come on, man. How can you win if you got no? You got to give it to them. You got to. So we also need a training ground for our politicians. Everybody needs to be Nina Turner-ish. Like, come on now. Don't forget, tomorrow I'll be on the Katie Halper show with Nina Turner and Aaron Mate. Roger, okay. A self-taught artist, once again, killing it. Thank you, self-taught artist. Roger Meadows, GOP copy key parts of New York State's Governor Cuomo's corporate immunity law shielding big biz from liability, passed it word for word into the HEAL Act. He got to go 2020 and 22. Self-taught artists, man, I just want you to know, self-taught artists, you are amazing. Thank you so much for helping support this show. So self-taught artists, I'm gonna need like $3,000 from you because I need to buy a Comrex Stack 12 system phone line. It's a Comrex Stack 12 system. Now I can get a used one for $1,500 to $1,800, or I can get the new one for $3,000. We'll bring our phone lines in house. The goal is $3,000 for the new, which comes with a warranty, or we can rough it and live dangerously and get the used one for $1,500 for 6 lines, or $1,800 for 12 lines. So self-taught artists, I just thought I'd put that out there because evidently you hit the lottery. And I'm not above taking my shot, shooting my shot. All right. Tim's Take 2 at gmail.com. Welcome to the Wolfpack, Dina DeWall. Dina DeWall, thank you for joining the Wolfpack. Welcome to it. Princess Queen, what? What's up, Princess Queen? Truth teller to the end. Love you, Tim. The Democrats are full bowl of boo-boo. Princess Queen, grown woman saying boo-boo. I love it, man. That's how cool the Wolfpack is, right? She's like, I'm not gonna go there. So say boo-boo. You know what it is. You know what that boo. So that's good enough. Thank you, Princess Queen. Not half, but shout out to Senator Nina Turner. Yeah, she is amazing. She's an amazing sister. Dude, man. Tim, how do you think the coming evictions are going to affect mail-in voting? Don't they mail you the ballot? I don't think, look, they can't let these people get evicted, yo. They can't. I'm like Kira. They can't let these people, 12 million people. If you let 12 million people get evicted, the purge will begin. You understand me? The purge will begin. And we're going to start, well, maybe. So I don't want to incite violence. I'm not going to play around like that. Ty's in the house. What's up, Ty? Ty, you gave to the show. Did you make a comment? The last comment's always cut off. Damn it. I don't see it. What did Ty say, guys? Can somebody put Ty's comment in here? Ty, my friend, you know I got love for you, Ty. We may have started off rocky, but we are cool now. And I thank you, my friend. I thank you, Ty. All right, guys, that is it. I'm burning up. I poured a muscle on my back. I got on some Ben Gay. It's probably why I'm hot as hell. How does putting Trump back in office start a revolution? I have no idea, Johnson. We tried that. It didn't work. It sucks to think Biden's the only choice. What can be done? Not a whole hell of a lot. I understand your point. I labor with the same issues. The only saving grace that I have is I know that we don't live in a elective democracy. Like, I know we have the Electoral College, and that I do not live in a swing state. I live in Maryland. It matters not. On the broader side, on the broader view, right, the fact that I have a platform does make me a little bit more responsible. Like, I could sway votes, so technically, like, I don't know how many people the Tim Black Show reaches, right? Actually, I do know. We reach a lot of people, but how much influence we really have? How much influence does anyone really have over how a person casts their vote? Some studies say people make their decision based upon how someone looks or the way they talk or their tonality. These things. So at the end of the day, Ty, I feel like we're in a lose-lose situation. So I will not begrudge anyone based on how they vote at all. I will not hold it against anyone how they vote. I mean, if they vote for Trump, I mean, maybe. I don't think I want to know if you voted for Trump. I wouldn't want to know that. I'm not proud of voting for Obama. And maybe that means I'm fully woke, you know? I'm fully woke because and so that's how you know if a person's, we throw around these terms woke, but if you're not embarrassed, right? If you're not embarrassed for voting for Trump or Hillary, there's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, that means you're not woke. That means you got some waking up to do. You woke up into another dream, Johnson. If you're not embarrassed voting for either one of those. Because there was nothing. All right. I think that's it, right? All right, Jay. I'll talk to you soon. Remember, tomorrow, Katie Halper, Nina Turner, Aaron Mate, the Hello Somebody podcast, Aaron Mate, The Gray Zone, Katie Halper, The Katie Halper Show, doing her thing. That's her. She's killing it. She's so much fun and she's so smart, and we're gonna be there tomorrow. And let your brother Tim Black come hang out. So we'll do that tomorrow. I'll be there around 9ish. Follow me at Real Tim Black on Facebook and Twitter, and Tim Black at Night on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, please. Make up an account. Join Instagram just to follow me. We really got to get to 10,000. That's crazy. I'm at 100,000 on Twitter. I can't get to 10,000 on Instagram. I mean, God. You guys need Instagram accounts. What's wrong with y'all? Get yourself an Instagram account. Stop playing around. The Tim Black Show is brought to you by Tim Black TV, TTL Media. And we're streaming live in front of a live internet audience, believe it or not. So, become a member, go to patreon.com, Tim Steak Live. I love you. Wolfpack. Johnson's.